Record and timestamp. This is Elsie's Elizabeth Bucket. This is a message for Protein Bar. My son. Hey, buddy, I'm so proud of you. You wanted me to sing a song for you and tuck you in, but I didn't have time, so I'm going to do that now. The Humpty Dance is your chance to do the hump. Do me, baby, do the Humpty Hump. Do the Humpty Hump. And our episode begins with a flashback to Charlotte back in Westworld, presumably after the start of Dolores' slaughter at the end of Season 1, but before she gets trapped in a barn with Bernard at the beginning of Season 2. Charlotte grabs a dead host and proceeds to record a message to Nathan.
Yeah, where is she exactly?
She seems to be at some sort of fire pit. Maybe someone was camping?
Wasn't the slaughter in the town of Escalante? Why would someone be camping there? And who shot this guy? The hosts were killing humans, not other hosts. And the humans were all unarmed.
Maybe this guy couldn't find a room for the night, and was hit by a stray bullet.
Yeah, I kinda get the feeling that this whole episode is a bunch of retroactive continuity. Suddenly Charlotte knows hosts can record things because she was foolish enough to have a conversation with Teresa in front of Hector.
Sure, that was pretty dumb of her, but to be fair, people do all sorts of things in front of their computers which have cameras that can record.
Okay, fine, but Charlotte, being a loving mother, panicked to send a message to her son? I mean, this is the same woman who answered the door naked with Teresa while dripping with sweat and sex juices. And she also mocked Bernard for shaking after observing people die all day. I mean, this just doesn't seem like Charlotte. We all of a sudden find that the hard exterior was a sham. Underneath, she's actually a loving mother.
Or this is all a simulation. Look, last episode when Lee acted a little out of character, Maeve realized the truth. Well, none of this adds up about Charlotte. A message to her son? Who knows if this is even real?
I hate to say it, but Chad is beginning to make sense.
You guys are going to be so floored when you find out that I was right all along. You're going to have to throw a Chad was right parade. Anyway, we then get to not Charlotte waking up. It takes her a while, but eventually she remembers who she is, but it's not revealed to the audience. And so, we have a huge mystery. Who is fake Charlotte?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. But Clementine or recreated Angela would make the most sense, as they were part of Dolores' gang and were aligned with her mission.
Sure, but neither of them really warrants a mystery. A big reveal that it's Clementine? That's a big meh. I bet she's Martin or something.
So who, recreated Teddy?
Could Dolores really trust Teddy? He betrayed her, and he was uploaded into the Valley Beyond besides.
So, Peter Abernathy?
I guess she would have his pearl after she used it at the forge. Guys, the correct answer is clearly Rebus. I mean, Major Craddock. Actually, Lawrence. Wait, Slim Miller. Hold on. Old Bill. Okay. Final answer, Ford. Ford planned it all, and he's fake Charlotte. Next, we jump to Peter Abernathy, or maybe a copy of Dolores herself as her own daughter or something. Anyway, she's at Delos overseeing the arrival of Transformers, which will be useful to the plot at some point in the future. I guess. I mean, why have this scene? Then we find out that the whole going private plot from the first episode is nixed, as a bunch of dummy companies have secretly bought Delos with a creeping hostile takeover using a bunch of microtransactions. Dolores' daughter / Peter Abernathy is so upset that she starts digging into her skin. Oh man, I got it! It's Jesse! I'm sorry, how? It's Jesse in the future, man! 2 timelines! Okay, fine. Fake Charlotte is Dolores' daughter / Peter Abernathy / future Jesse. / Logan. We then get back to Dolores and Jesse in the tunnel, where the paramedics arrive to take Dolores to the hospital. Their bureaucratic computer doesn't know what to do with her, and then Jesse notices that his Grand Theft Auto app is sending goons to get Dolores.
Who the hell set that up?
What do you mean?
Dolores successfully swapped out Martin and killed everybody else. Who would know that Dolores is alive and in an ambulance?
Maybe when they hooked her into the computer, it alerted Sarek?
And the goons arrived that fast. She was hooked in for like a minute.
Anyway, the criminals do arrive, and
Is this going to be one of those action scenes that has no tension because we know that the main characters are all going to improbably live, but every minor character die?
yeah, pretty much. Anyway, afterwards, Dolores uses the dead guy's face to unlock his car and takes off.
Yeah, that would never work. Facial recognition cars are not the future. They exist today. There's the button, but it keeps scanning your face as you drive. If a new face were there, the car would turn off. It's like if you leave your keys in the kitchen today with a keyless ignition car, you might be able to start your car in the garage, but once you're down the driveway, the car will totally turn off. I mean, just from a public safety standpoint, why would anyone design a car that would allow a dead person's face to start it?
All right, you proved your point.
Plus, if Sarek is tapped into all the computers, why wouldn't he immediately figure out his hit failed and then target this car leaving the scene? Nothing about this pointless action scene makes any sense.
That's because it's all in a simulation. In a simulation. We then get to future Jesse / recreated Emily / Dolores' horse, who receives a mysterious sound file text. Her assistant Irene then arrives and tells her they've discovered the buyer of Delos. It's Serac, a metaphorical black hole. He's invisible, but with the negative space, his existence can be inferred. And she claims in the global economy, there is a mysterious missing $1 trillion, which appears to be the wealth of Serac.
Yeah, as someone who studied economics, I can say this is a bunch of gibberish.
You studied economics? Where?
At the University of Always Winter. Anyway, none of this makes sense. First off, valuing the economy is usually done in GDP, a notoriously imprecise measure that doesn't account for all sorts of things like the black market economy or any services that you do for yourself. If you mow your own lawn, that's not part of the GDP. But if you and your neighbor swap and pay each other to mow each other's lawns, that would be. Not to mention there's the insane trouble of trying to value technological change. A $2,000 computer today would have been valued at millions of dollars if it existed 20 years ago, and will have almost no value in 10 years. The point being, valuing the economy already has huge, enormous size holes. But even ignoring all of that, say you get an accurate measure of GDP. That's an annual income-like measure. We're talking about Sarek's wealth, which is a cumulative lifetime measure. And wealth, by the way, is near impossible to calculate with much precision.
I'm sorry, I don't follow. I see those celebrity net worth articles all the time.
Yeah, they're a bunch of bull. Ask yourself, what's your net worth? What's the value of everything you own? Your clothes, your car, your house, your jewelry. It's super tough as you don't know the true value of anything until you actually sell it. And few people actually sell everything they own. Also, do you include your degrees, your training, your future Social Security income, your pensions, potential inheritance, future earnings? No one knows the answer to this. And so now we're talking about Sarek's wealth relative to global wealth. Billions of people with their inexact net worths. Not to mention, there's nature. What's the rainforest worth? How about Mount Kilimanjaro? The oceans? But even if you were to add up everything, all of the people, all of the resources, we're talking about a number that's in the quadrillions, if not quintillions of dollars. $1 trillion is a rounding error when we're talking about global wealth.
Well, I think you're kind of harping on a small point.
Small point? It's the title of the friggin' episode. It's the metaphor on which fake Charlotte's whole character arc rests. And it's gibberish.
Well, let's put a pin in that idea and come back to it. So next, maybe Peter Abernathy comes home to find Charlotte's ex-husband there. Not knowing how to react, maybe future Jesse decides to get hot and heavy with him. Maybe Ford starts moaning too loud and the ex-husband says to keep it down, as their child might hear. And then maybe Rebus gets called out on not remembering their kid. Maybe Wyatt then goes upstairs to Nathan, hears about Tommy and his dog, and then is flat out told that she's not Charlotte several times by Nathan. Next, some Delos execs tell, maybe Teddy, that Maeve is missing from the park and there is a mole, and that same mole may be feeding company information to the hostile buyer.
Yeah, this is really weird, as later we find out that Charlotte was the mole, but we know Charlotte didn't steal Maeve as Charlotte was dead. So now we have this big mystery of who stole Maeve.
The problem is we're running low on Delos employees who are there and not dead. Essentially, we have the Man in Black, Felix, and Sylvester, and none of them seem right.
I mean, logically speaking, wouldn't it have to be either Felix or Sylvester? They're the only ones left alive who know that Maeve is super special.
But them as moles? That would be weird. Anyway, maybe Walter then gets another weird text message before meeting with Dolores. So maybe Sheriff Reed reveals that she's having a really difficult time in Charlotte's life and body, and that she's been cutting herself. And so Dolores rents a room, and she and maybe Sakura heads upstairs where Dolores patches her up. Maybe Captain Norris says that it feels like Charlotte is trying to regain control, and Dolores tells her that she is hers and that the two are really, really close. And then they spoon. So yeah, totally future Jesse, or Dolores herself, or Deputy Foss. So next we jump back to Jesse, who is on his way to the hospital when he sees that his Grand Theft Auto app is targeting him. Jesse tells his mom that he's going away, but she tells him that he isn't her son, in a parallel manner to Nathan telling maybe Armistice that she isn't his mom. Some goons then arrive and capture Jesse, but they really just want to know how to get to Dolores. Meanwhile, Dolores wants some info on Jesse, so she asks fake Martin, who is probably Clementine. Anyway, the goons take Jesse to his workplace and proceed to reactivate his implant so they can screw around with his biology and torture him. Jesse tries to get his robot to help, but the robot has the same programming of Stubbs in seasons 1 and 2. Jesse has a flashback to this and some other stuff before Dolores comes in and kills everyone, saving Jesse. Jesse asks Dolores who she is, and she says she's Batman. And then we get to the first part of the most mysterious scene in the episode. A Delos exec tells maybe Ford's host father that they have found a file that she should see. So maybe Lil Ford watches the video from the opening of the episode. It's Charlotte Hale singing You Are My Sunshine to Nathan Hale. Maybe. The video has some problems. Anyway, maybe the Sweetwater bartender then gets another mysterious text message before finding the creeper Tommy rubbing Nathan's hand in the park. Maybe Confederado number 14 then flips out. She sends Nathan away and chokes a dude to death.
Actually, she only chokes him until he stops struggling. That's just when you pass out. If you want to kill somebody, you actually have to hold their neck for several minutes. Tommy is totally going to wake back up in like 30 seconds. Also, is it really smart to steal the dog of the person you killed or attempted to kill? Many pets today have tracking chips. Not to mention, there's all sorts of witnesses around who can identify her leaving the scene of the crime. In the real world, the maybe fortune teller from Pariah would be totally caught.
Anyway, Dolores takes Jesse to the diner where his mom abandoned him and proceeds to tell him intimate details about that day. At first, Jesse isn't too impressed, and then Dolores shows him a full transcript of his conversation with the waitress that day.
Whoa. Look, I'm not surprised that the conversation was recorded. I mean, Amazon Echoes record everything people say today. But this is clearly a scan of a physical copy of the conversation.
Yeah, so?
So I'm supposed to believe that in a world where everything is recorded and computers and tablets are everywhere and are everything, that someone would bother to print out this transcript, get all messy with it, crumble it, staple it, have the corner folded, and then re-scan it. Come on.
Whatever the case, this makes Jesse very angry, so Dolores takes him to the pier and tells him that the entire system has him projected to commit suicide, and that's the reason he's unable to get any promotions.
Weirdly, the system doesn't want him to have kids. How the hell can they stop that?
Well, the conversation is enough for Jesse to be all in to help Dolores to take down the system. And then we're back for the second part of the most mysterious scene. This time, maybe Pariah Orgy Participant 34 watches Charlotte's message, and the message is different. Different words, different order, gunshots in different places. The first message had sing you a song and tuck you in. The second one has tuck you in and sing you a song.
Maybe Charlotte didn't like the first recording and recorded a second one right after.
Or this is all a simulation. Or at least one of these fake Charlottes is in a simulation.
Chad may be onto something. Maybe.
The first Charlotte is the simulation of Charlotte that doesn't know Charlotte is dead, and the second one is fake Charlotte? Maybe Stablehand who wants to bring everyone to the Valley Beyond?
I guess. I'm not sure why the simulation wouldn't update itself with real information. Once it gets a hold of real Charlotte's message, shouldn't it update itself so both messages would be the same?
You got me, I'm thrown for a loop. I'm not sure what scenes are real and what scenes could be a simulation. Jesse could be a simulation for all I know. But based on the title of the episode, the metaphor of the black hole and Rehoboam's abilities, it does seem that a simulation should figure out that Charlotte is dead, and this has something to do with that. God damn you, Chad. Anyway, to add even more weirdness to the situation, maybe Maintenance Drone 14 plays back the weird messages, which are the notes to You Are My Sunshine.
So Charlotte chose that as her password, and by coincidence, fake Charlotte stumbled upon it?
Maybe, or maybe Charlotte wasn't singing a song to Nathan, but was singing to Serac, like it was a signal or something. I still don't get why the notes were being texted to her in order. That doesn't seem very secure. Anyway, maybe the Minotaur arrives at Sarac's house and is greeted by the blonde Asian girl who threatened Liam. She provides a pair of Google Glass, which allows Sarac to be seen. Sarac reveals that Charlotte is the mole, and in a bit of retcon, we find out that Charlotte's smuggling operation from Season 1 was actually for him.
Really? Didn't she try to get Teresa to use the woodcutter to upload everything to the Delos satellite? How exactly is that for Serac?
I don't know, maybe it was all beaming to Charlotte's folder on the Delos server or something?
Huh. If Charlotte was the mole trying to steal from Delos the whole time, it makes me wonder if all of that talk of the board wants this, the board wants that she was spewing to Teresa, maybe it was a big load of crap. Maybe the board completely trusted Ford and there was no pressure from them to protect the data, and Teresa was unwittingly pushed into a conflict with Ford, leading to her death.
Poor Teresa.
Poor Teresa.
Ford planned it all.
By the way, if Serac is so rich, why didn't he just buy Delos before? Then he wouldn't have to smuggle anything out. And if he can predict everyone's actions, why does he even need Delos' data?
Maybe the answers will come, like who the other mole is who stole Maeve's brain. But this is Westworld, so probably not. So, Bucket, I ran a simulation, and the simulated Bucket behaved very differently from you.
You ran a simulation within a simulation.
Yes, and now I don't know if I can trust you. You may be pretending to be a Bucket faithful to Delos, who is secretly working for me, pretending to be loyal to me, but who is actually working for Chad Summerchild, though the original Bucket's programming may be taking you over, so maybe I can trust you after all. I'm not quite sure.
But there are two Buckets now, one in the sub-simulation and one in the simulation. Are you sure you didn't mix us up?
I'll get back to you on that. Carry on.